after the whole HBO Max thing with Warner Brothers and releasing all their films, 2020 slate on HBO Max, there is a ton of fallout afterwards from Christopher Nolan saying this stuff about, this is crazy. Some of the industry's best, I'm paraphrasing, industry's best stars and directors went to sleep thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they're working for the worst streaming service. I mean, that type of stuff. So, Christopher Nolan. And by the way, Christopher Nolan's worked with Warner Brothers on every single one of his films since 2002, since Insomnia. So, think about that. Think about how he's worked with him. And I think he's literally made Warner Brothers so much money between all his films, and so much prestige and so much critical and commercial success throughout his films. And you could expect, Christopher Nolan's big on the theatrical industry, but I think this was mainly because they didn't consult their business partners, these actors, these directors, these writers, that when they wrote one of these films and directed one of these films and starred in one of these films, they thought they were making a theatrically released film. Now, I know they say simultaneous release, theaters and HBO Max, but for the most part, HBO Max. And so, what I think is getting on a lot of these people's nerves is that you didn't tell us that this is what you're doing with these films. And a lot of these directors, and some of these actors and directors, have, bonuses, and get a percentage of the box office cut. And how do you know how much bonuses to give if they're all on streaming? The truth is, Warner Brothers doesn't care. And Warner Brothers is not going to give them the money, that the back-end deals that they thought they were getting. And I think that's big, and that's in their contract. And I think Warner Brothers is just saying screw it. And I think this comes down to communication. I don't know what would allow them to not want to do stuff like that. I don't know. But that's just the case. So yeah. But that's crazy. And the stuff about the lawsuits with Ledgendary is crazy. But it's just crazy because Legendary's worked with Warner Brothers in so many films. Which is just crazy. And I think... Hold on a second. And so I think it's crazy. And because, you think about it, Legendary... Because it makes sense. Legendary financed films like Dune. They spent 75% of the budget from Legendary for Dune and King Kong versus Godzilla. Or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever you want to call it. And I think when you think about that, and now they're going on HBO Max, and think about that. Legendary didn't finance these films to not have the return that going to the theaters would be direct. Because ultimately, who's the benefit from going to HBO Max? It's Warner Brothers, not the actors, not the directors, and not the production companies. Only really, truly Warner Brothers, which is truly, in this case, a distributing company, a distributing studio. And I think that's why these actors are pissed off, because when they signed the contract, they didn't sign the contract for a streaming service film. They didn't sign a contract for a film that's gonna go to HBO Max and not get any bonuses. And so directors and studios, all this stuff, because, and I think it's a tricky situation, because not only did they not know, Warner Brothers is just not being transparent. They're not, if they consulted with the talent, if they consulted with the directors, the actors, the writers, maybe the story would be different. Probably the story would be different. because they could work out a deal that everybody's going to be happy. Because in a court of law, Warner Brothers could really get screwed over, because if it's written in a contract that, for example, Will Smith gets certain percent of his new film's money, and if Keanu Reeves gets a certain percentage of the Matrix cut, and Warner Brothers doesn't pay him money at any rate, well then yes, that's on Warner Brothers. But the thing about Legendary is Warner Brothers could get out of that lawsuit quickly, because at the end of the day, Legendary is not the distributing company at the end of the day. So I think what Warner Brothers is banking on is we don't have to consult with you. It's our decision where we distribute it. And so I think in a court of law, it could be used against Legendary in the sense where it's like, it's us. We're the distributing company. You can't do anything about that. We pick where the film's going. And so that can be used against it. But ultimately, the Christopher Nolan's fighting words is crazy, because he's right. You know, the fact of the matter is, and he's truth, and I think part of that thing he said about one night you're waking up, one night you're going to sleep thinking you're working for the greatest studio, wake up to find out you're working for the worst streaming service. Those are a big burn, but they're also true. One night, you know, you have a guy like Keanu Reeves thinking he's going to go sleep, go to work, make this big blockbuster, big popcorn flick in the theaters for Warner Brothers, and get so much money and get paid, let's do this. Then wake up and figure out Matrix 4 is going to streaming? It's not something that they even expected, and it was a surprise. And especially because for Wonder Woman, the stars in Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, they got their bonuses. I think they looked at it as Wonder Woman's mostly going to make $1 billion, so we'll make your bonus based on Wonder Woman making $1 billion. And so ultimately, what it made is, and I think this was in one of the articles, is these actors and their agencies were mad that they're making these actors less than the stars in Wonder Woman, because that's essentially the truth. Because why are you giving the people in Wonder Woman special treatment? And I think that's, so when you have the actors, the directors, the writers, and the agencies pissed off, that's not a good sign. And now look at this. The Directors Guild of America is now thinking about boycotting that, and the Directors Guild of America could lead to SAG and DGA, WGA, Directors Guild of America, Screen Actors Guild of America, Directors Guild of America. If they boycott unanimously against Warner Brothers, that's not a good sign. So we'll see how the fallout truly affects. So we got Legendary planning on suing Warner Brothers. We got Christopher Nolan not fighting, but coming out with harsh words against HBO Max and Warner Brothers. We have stuff about like a lot of actors, writers, directors, and their agencies pissed off at Warner Brothers. We have the DGA thinking about boycotting Warner Brothers. So there's a lot of mayhem. So we'll see the fallout. Stay tuned for videos coming at you.